What's going on, YouTube homies? Welcome back to JC Inshore. As you can see, this is going to be part 4 of my backyard skiff build. Today, I'm just going to be creating the template for the bulkhead that is going to be the last piece to close in my casting deck. As you can see, I've got plenty of cardboard there to work with, which is going to be the preferred medium for my template. And I'm pretty much explaining that I'm going to create that front piece, which is going to be the last piece I'll need to close in the casting deck, since I've already got the casting deck cut out. Here, I'm just going to take a stir stick for my resin, and I'm going to kind of cut it down to work for me. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a point on one end of it and cut the big radiuses off of the end. I figured with the point, I'll have a much accurate transfer of the shape of the hole to my cardboard. I'm also going to cut it a little bit shorter. It was a little longer than I wanted it to be, so there I'm just cutting the other tip of it off completely to a flat. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut a little V notch into that flat spot that I just cut into that stir stick. That's going to give a little spot for the tip of my Sharpie to set and rest in and kind of lock in, so that as I'm transferring the shape of the bottom of the hole to that cardboard, it's not just all over the place and that tip of the Sharpie is just kind of locked in. I am going to be dipping in and out with the voiceover. I just want you guys to watch this whole process, because during my research on YouTube, I did not see too many videos displaying what I'm showing you per se. I did see a few videos where they were using smaller popsicle sticks to outline the transom for a transom replacement, but nothing that I saw particularly like this, where you're creating bulkheads, or like I said, the casting deck. I used the same process when I created the template for my casting deck, and once I got the casting deck cut out and kind of set it in place, it really worked out good for me, I thought. So I just thought this, guys, would be a good thing for you guys to see and watch. Right here, I'm just trimming off some of the excess. That notch more or less just kind of helped me lock that piece of cardboard into place as like a reference point. And here I'm just cutting off some excess off of that corner, so it's not getting hung up on the other side of the hole, so it's not rocking around, and it sits nicely in that notch that I created. At this point, I do just want to point out that I know I'm not going to be able to do this with one giant piece of cardboard. I first of all don't have a cardboard piece big enough to stretch all the way across, but I feel like it would just be easier to do the template in a couple different pieces, which is what I'm going to end up doing here. So just keep that in mind. Here, you can actually see me start that tracing process. I have the tip of my stir stick that I cut down rested on the bottom of the hole, and I'm just going to follow along the bottom of the hole. I've got the tip of my Sharpie locked into that notch that I cut, and I'm just pretty much transferring the bottom of the hole to the cardboard itself. Just like tracing when we were in school. We've all done it. This is just using it and applying it a little bit differently. So here you can see that finish line that I've done, and it's pretty much self-explanatory after that. Just cut the line and whatever's left should fit right in that hole. Like I mentioned before, there is a lot of trimming in this process, which is no big deal because it's just cardboard. And you can see once I trim that piece out, that cardboard sits snugly against that hole. There is a little bit of gap there. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to secure this in place with some thickened resin. It's going to fill the gap. It's also going to almost glue it into place along with some fiberglass tabbing once I get it all in there. But here I'm just cutting bulk material off just to get it out of my way. Right here, I'm just going to mark the top of my cut so I know where the top of my template needs to stop. Everything above that notch is going to end up getting cut and thrown in the recycling bin. Here on the other side, it's pretty much the exact same thing. The only difference is I have that rigging tube there. That rigging tube is going to go through the bulkhead. That's where all my wires are going to run from the front to the back where my switch panel is going to be. So that is the only difference that I've got going on here. Other than that, this side is a mirrored image of the first side that I did. Here, you'll see it doesn't quite fit like I want it to. We have that same good gap along the bottom of the hole, but once we get around that rigging tube, it gets a little sketchy. And that's all this process is just trimming and then checking the fitment, trimming if you got to do it a little bit more, and then checking the fitment a little bit more. That's pretty much the theme for this process. You'll see is I'm doing a lot of trimming and a lot of fitment check to make sure that it's as close as I can get it so that way I'm not wasting any material or doing any unnecessary cutting or sanding once I transfer this to the wood. And once again, I'm checking the top of my cut there, so I know exactly or roundabout where the top of that bulkhead is going to come up to once I get that template all done. See here, I got both pieces put together. To me, I was honestly really surprised and happy with how it came out for the first time. I've never done this before. This is the first boat I've ever worked on. So the fact that it came out as good as it did, I was really excited about it. Right here, I just cut a piece of cardboard off of that big sheet, trying to cut a small enough piece that I can get it to fit down into the area that I want it to. As you can see, I got it cut down, and I did cut it a little bit shorter than I needed to, which is okay because we can always fix that on the template before we transfer the shape from the template to the wood that we're cutting out. But this is just going to be the same process as the bottom. I'm going to use that piece of stir stick with my Sharpie, and I'm just going to trace the outline of the side of the hole onto the cardboard. And I do just want to take this time, doing a voiceover was not my preferred method of doing this. Unfortunately, I checked my videos kind of halfway through what I was doing and what I had going on, and realized that I had not even turned the microphone on. So for you people out there in YouTube world that want to start your channel, always make sure you turn your microphone on. But once again, I felt like this was good material for people to see. I didn't want to just scrap it and not put out a video, because of course I'm trying to be consistent and stay with putting out a video every weekend. But like I said, this is good material that I didn't find too much of on YouTube when I was searching it. So hopefully this process will help somebody in the future if they ever feel like they want to try and make a cardboard template of something. And I'm sure this doesn't just apply to building boats. I'm sure there's all kinds of applications you could use this technique for. But here, this is just what I use it for. And like I said, the recurring theme for this video is just trimming and checking the fitment and making sure that it's as tight as I want it to be and can possibly get it. Here, I got a little lazy, and instead of actually tracing, I just took that first piece that I made on the side and I traced it to a piece of cardboard that I had and just kind of cut out a general shape that I knew was going to fit in there, so that way all I had to do was trim it a little bit to get it fit exactly the way I wanted to. And honestly, this little technical error that I had, or operator error that I had, it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because I always want to make editing my videos better for you guys, so it's more entertaining to watch. So this kind of forced my hand into really putting music over my videos. I know nobody really likes a voiceover, but now I can do it if I have to in the future, which hopefully I'll remember to turn my microphone on in the future. But you know, we always try to make lemonade when life gives us lemons. So like I said, this was kind of a blessing in disguise and to help me with my ability to edit my videos for you guys. So now that I've actually got the mic on, guys, I recut this other side just so I can figure out. Maybe I didn't cut out this side. So this is the piece I originally cut. Fits down in there. Nice. If I can just figure out. Okay, so that is right. So I'll just cut this off here. And like I said, I needed another 1/2 inch on the top. So I'll cut it at this crease, which is probably a little bit more than a 1/2 inch. It's all about trimming. Trim, trim, trim. And like I said, I'm honestly not worried about the bottom of this particular piece, because I have my rigging tube right there. So now that I've got my pieces all cut out and I can actually stop losing them, that's it right there. Pretty much what we have is we have this, and then what I'm going to do so pretty much all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hot glue gun. I'm going to put a bead right here, and just put it on there thick so it doesn't. I've actually got another stick here, and I'm trying to move quick so this doesn't dry on me. Of course, we got the cheapest one you could find. And just hold it and put some pressure on it for a hot second. Gives the glue time to cool down. I've got my edge marked up here. And I think that should be good right there. So now, as you can see, I pretty much have a template. I'm not worried about these little gaps. I can trim and kind of customize that as I choose. And now I'm going to go to the other side. No, that should be a little bit better. Everything fits perfectly. And I'll put this in there like that. So let me get a little hot glue action. And put this back over here. So really, I just need a little bit on this bottom corner. And I'm just going to hold it for a couple seconds, give the glue time to cool off and kind of set up. I can actually feel that. That feels pretty solid there. Now all that's left is to do this piece in the middle. Once again, I'm just going to grab the glue gun, get all the leaves off of it, try not to burn my fingers. Let me grab another glue stick because I don't think this one's going to be enough. These little guys really don't last you that long. And just liberally apply your hot glue. I said that didn't last long at all. Now this hot glue is not necessarily going to give it the strongest bond, so you will still have to be a little careful with it when I go to pull this out. But to me, it holds it good enough. And I think we're pretty good, honestly. We'll still have to trim some off the top, but you see there's a nice tight gap along the bottom. Whatever gaps are still there, it's okay. Because we can always fill that with Bonder at a later time, thick and putty. So that's where I'm at right now. I made that tick mark up there. I've got another little tick mark right here. This is the longest thing I have that's straightish. So pretty much what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use that straight edge to connect those two cuts, those two dots, those 2 points rather. We'll get it cut out, and then we should be pretty much solid and ready for a test fit as one big piece. I did actually end up taking one of the side pieces and pulling it off and re-gluing it because I just didn't like the way it fit in there. And then all we're pretty much doing is cutting on the line after that. Be careful so it doesn't fall apart at all. And I know these two pieces do overlap quite a bit. So I'll try to address that as I get to it. And this top line may not be the straightest, but it's going to be pretty close. This is the leftover from that resin I used last time. Pretty much just destroyed the bottom of my cup trying to push it out, but you can see what happens to the resin after it hards. It's pretty hard, no sticky, it's got the wax in it. Destroyed my cup, but it's all good. I'm really trying to rush. I'm trying to beat that Florida afternoon shower. Plus, I do have other things. It is Sunday night, getting the kids ready for school tomorrow and all that. Got to run to Walmart. And I'll get back with you when I get this all cut out, and we'll go test fit it. So this is what you end up with after you get it all cut out. It's nothing fancy. I know I'm a little short up here, but that's okay. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So now I've got a finished template to go throw in the boat and see how it fits all together as one big piece. Still trying to be gentle because it is, but I think that looks really good, guys. Let me do a back up here. I'm honestly really excited with the way it turned out. Of course, the wind would blow it over. I did have some gapping over here and a little bit of gapping over there, maybe like a 1/4 inch, not even. Get it back up. You know, I've got some gapping here, which is no big deal. To me, it's no big deal. I'll fine tune this radius down here to actually fit around that rigging tube. I am a little above my mark over here, which is okay. And I can kind of tell that I'm going to be above my mark over there, which is okay. That's not a big deal to me. But this is where we are. We got a pretty good fit all the way through, guys, and I'm I'm honestly really happy. Like I said, this being the first time I've ever done this, I think it worked out quicker and easier than if I were to try and lay individual popsicle sticks. Uh, so that's kind of where I'm going to cut it right now. And now that I'm pulling this thing in and out, I feel like it's, once I get the wood cut out, it's going to be a beast to try and get it all in there in one piece. But I do have some wood back here. Next week, I will be cutting and fiberglassing it. Also, I'm going to be fiberglassing the other side of my casting deck. I try to do all my fiberglassing at once so I don't gas out my family, because sometimes the fumes do get into the house, but we'll figure that out. But I've got some wood for the front piece. That needs to be fiberglassed on the other side. And yeah, that's where we're at. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. Sorry about the little technical difficulties at the beginning of the video. We're going to work on that. Next week, like I said, we'll be fiberglassing, and then we'll go from there. And then after I get all that stuff fiberglassed, I might actually start working on the floor, because similarly to that front plate for the casting deck, I believe I'm going to put bulkheads across, and I'm going to have to do a similar process. I'm not sure how many I'm going to do. That'll be something for me to think about throughout the week. If you have any suggestions on how to do that, by all means, drop a comment, hit me up, let me know. But if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys next weekend. Peace.